A very good morning to you. My name's Chris Gosling. This is Felixstowe on Felixstowe Radio 107.5 FM. Now, in the studio with me today, I've got someone who I've known a little bit for a long time. It's ex-Inspector Steve Gallant, who was a senior member of our local constabulary. He was the inspector for Felixstowe for quite a long time. You weren't you, Steve?
I was indeed, yeah. But
lucky.
That's in the past.
And now you're a district councillor on Suffolk Coastal District Council. You are also a town councillor, and as such, as a town councillor, is what I want to talk to you about today, because it looks like, following in the wake of kind of financial strictures and all the problems that hit any sort of local service financially these days, it looks as if the Suffolk Constabulary are probably going to close down Felixstowe Police Station and possibly going to withdraw quite a lot of police coverage in the town. Tell me what's actually happening, because I've probably got it wrong.
Well, you've got it wrong a little bit. You have a little bit of error in there. Yes, Felixstowe Police Station, as we know it at this moment in time, is going to move location from the police station, and the constabulary is looking at a shared services, shared building with the fire station just over the road. The current situation is that Felixstowe Police Station has a front office counter where members of the public can walk in off the street and talk to a member of police staff about any issues or concerns that they may have. That function is planned to be removed, so there will be no public access to any police station within the Felixstowe Peninsula. With the closure of the front counter is one significant issue for the constabulary, but far more worrying for me and for the local residents, I would guess, is the removal of the response hub from Felixstowe. At this moment in time, response policing is carried out by teams of officers that start their duty, one team at Felixstowe and one team at police headquarters in Martlesham, and they provide the 24/7 response cover for any incidents and any 999 calls that come in the Felixstowe and surrounding areas. Now, the removal of the response hub from Felixstowe has some significant issues, I believe, for the residents of Felixstowe. What that means is that officers will now start and end their duty all together at Martlesham headquarters. Now, we know the road infrastructure that goes between these two. We know the issues that an accident at or on or near to Orwell Bridge can cause and the disruption that can cause. We know the fact that we've got a port here, which is a major strategic place. We know the level of policing that people want and people require in order to make them feel safe in their local community. Now, the removal of the response staff from Felixstowe is twofold. There is a minor risk involved in respect of response times and responding to 999 calls that come from Felixstowe. I have to stress, however, though, in my opinion, I believe this is a minor risk. I am confident the constabulary will do all they can in order to meet their response times. The far greater issue for me is around proactive policing. When a police officer starts their shift at a location, there is many things that keep them within their base prior to them going out on patrol. They need to check their emails. It's a modern age. There's lots of emails. One of them comes in, I better answer that, I better do something, I better make a response. There's calls on their time in respect of paperwork submissions, in respect of computer entries, intelligence submissions. There's a lot of work that they need to do within that base. So these are the things that keep that response officer in their base. Now, their base, with effect from April the 4th, will be at Martlesham, not at Felixstowe. When it comes to the end of their shift, they need to hand that vehicle over from the off-going officer to the oncoming officer. We don't have two sets of vehicles within the constabulary that they can use, so there's this one vehicle that needs to be handed over. So when do they go? When do they leave Felixstowe Peninsula and drive all the way back to Martlesham to hand their vehicle over so the next person can come on? Where's the cover when that's happening? Police officers work shift patterns, and in those shift patterns, there is an overlap period. So the off-going shift and the ongoing shift don't start and finish at exactly the same time. There's a period of overlap. That period of overlap is vital to provide proactive patrols within any geographical area. If one officer is starting and finishing at Martlesham, as is the other officer, where is that second officer at the point of that overlap shift? They're sat in an office at Martlesham Police Headquarters. What use is that to anyone? What are they going to patrol? What are they going to do in that overlap period? Well, the answer is they're not going to do very much, and they're certainly not going to do very much on the Felixstowe Peninsula. How are they going to get here? The other officer has got that vehicle and gone out on patrol. So they're going to sit there. It's a complete and utter waste of time and therefore money.
Excellent. I'll tell you what, Steve, that's actually explaining the complexity of this pretty straightforwardly.
Well,
we're going to have a record. What do you fancy?
Well, I've tried very hard to consult and confer with the constabulary, and so far all my communication methods have failed. So I think, how about message in the bottle by the police? Because I haven't tried that method of communication yet.
It's for you, ex-Inspector Steve Gallant. Okay, so Steve, message in a bottle, I love it. Okay, one of the things that's clear about this whole operation is the number of police officers and police community support officers that we see about the place is going to change. In fact, we're not hardly going to see them at all. What's happening in terms of police numbers in our town?
Okay, well, taking response officers aside, we've discussed those, so let's look at the Safer Neighbourhood team. They're the face of the constabulary, the residency on a daily basis. Presently, the establishment for the Safer Neighbourhood team in Felixstowe is 1 sergeant, 5 police constables and 7 PCSOs, police community support officers. With effect from April, that will change, and that will change significantly. We're looking at, going forward, the projected establishment of 1 sergeant, 2 police constables and 4 PCSOs, police community support officers. Now the issue with that is twofold really. The PCSOs will now only be working day shifts. There'll be no late cover into the evenings when there are a lot of issues around the town, whether that be antisocial behaviour, youth congregation issues, public gatherings around licensed premises, etc. Those are when the key issues are happening that matter to these people. Not only are we seeing the significant reduction in the number of staff allocated to this Safer Neighbourhood team, but also the Safer Neighbourhood team's geographical area is increasing considerably. We see the removal of Kesgrave Safer Neighbourhood team. It ceases to be. Now, Kesgrave Safer Neighbourhood team at the moment covers 12 parishes, including Kesgrave and Martlesham, 2 of the biggest growth areas in population anywhere within the county of Suffolk. Now, with the removal of that Safer Neighbourhood team, it necessarily follows that the adjoining Safer Neighbourhood teams will have to encompass that larger, wider area. So not only are we getting less staff, but the area we're asking them to cover is increasing considerably.
So we've really got a kind of double-edged blow, if you like, or a double blow against our local constabulary. So the police officers that me and little old ladies and everybody else have got, or the PCSOs that we've all got used to seeing in the streets, aren't going to be there anymore.
Well, they're not. The reality is that this goes hand in hand with changes to the way that Safer Neighbourhood team are functioning. The constabulary is going to be asking them to concentrate their time on far different things to what they're concentrating on now. So as a result of that, they are going to be, without any shadow of a doubt, less visible to members of the public going about their daily business.
So Steve, we've looked at what's in the plans to happen, let's say that. But what do you think is going to happen? What do you think the scene is going to be in Felixstowe in, say, 6 months or a year's time?
It's a very difficult question to answer because, of course, I don't have a crystal ball. What I do have is some past experience that I can draw on. The constabulary has, throughout its history, always tried to not only deal with crime, but to deal with the fear of crime. We are very fortunate we live in one of the safest counties anywhere in the country. Crime rates are very low. However, people's fear of crime is still quite high. And the way you address people's fear of crime is to have a constabulary that is visible, that is accessible, that is accountable to the residents of this county. I believe this is a major step away from that. And I believe that the constabulary, by taking a backward step from the public, is going to find that local residents' levels of trust and confidence in the constabulary is going to decline. It's a sad day.
That's a pretty worrying look into the future. So really, I'd like to leave it there. We're going to be talking to Suffolk Constabulary, I hope, later. But in the meantime, Councillor Steve Gallant, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you, Chris.